Here are my opinions on Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, Season 2, Part 2. Mushoku Tensei has been a very divisive title since its release, yet despite the scruples of some of the subject material, the anime has managed to be an exemplary isekai. I say this not because Mushoku Tensei is a well-told story, even though it is, but because more than many of its peers, it makes use of the isekai premise, with Rudy making the most of his second life, to try and live in a way that doesn't leave him with regrets. That being said, the fourth installment of the show is by far the weakest, as the season does more teeing up rather than following through. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a filler season, as I know some story points like the magic doll, Zenith's quasi-vegetative state, and Rudy's marriage to Roxy will be important later down the line. But so much of the front half of this part is just a lot of slice-of-life things like marrying Sylphie, a shopping trip with Aisha, and Norn writing about Rudy. That final point though brings me to my biggest annoyance with Season 2 Part 2, and it is a small one. I don't like Norn. Maybe that's because Norn is probably the worst parts of both of her parents, being quick to scold like Zenith and lashing out emotionally like Paul. Now I don't condone violence against children, but I wanted so badly for someone to slap Norn when she was yelling at Rudius in the finale. Her brother risks his life on an adventure she asked him to go on, one that could have cost him meeting his child, and she has the nerve to scold him about something that doesn't affect her, after someone saved him from the horrifying trauma of watching his father die for his sake, after he's done everything to try and make Norn feel safe and loved since she arrived. That being said, Norn's purpose this season is more to show how far Rudius has come from his past life, as he recognizes the pitfalls of isolation that Norn goes through, and helps her through it. Another thing that bugs me about the show is the art direction is the same caliber as Season 2 Part 1, which is a big step down from Season 1, as the big boss of the season is mostly CG, which makes it look a bit out of place. That isn't to say the Hydra boss is bad, it's probably the most dynamic Hydra boss fight of the anime season, which granted really only stacks it up against Konosuba's Season 3's Hydra fight, but it's still enticing to watch. As we see each member of the party working in their respective roles to take down this dangerous foe, yet in the end, despite all their sweat and screams, they don't walk away unscathed. Going from watching a little maid haggle to seeing a man being vivisected to save his son is a huge leap in a single season, but it is this dichotomy of this epic magical world and simple life details that makes Mushoku Tensei stand tall amongst other contemporary fantasy juggernauts. Mushoku Tensei is a story not about dwelling on the horrors of the past, but trying to live fully as you move forward. Elanalise's journey to get her curse removed, Rudy's quest to restore his people's reputation, and everything that happens to Rudy. All of it about realizing the good and bad times will happen, but you get to make the decision to move forward. While Season 2 Part 2 isn't my favorite section of this story, I can see how the show is still pressing forward, and I'm excited to see the challenges in the future with Season 3 already confirmed. But as always, that's just my opinion. What did you think of Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation, Season 2, Part 2?